My name is Elise. At 39, my life ended one January morning in a hospital room with cream-colored walls, 8 months after I was told I had pancreatic cancer. Before all of this, I was a school teacher in a small coastal village. I loved the smell of a freshly cleaned blackboard, the colorful chalk crumbling between my fingers, the sound of children's laughter filling my classroom. My world revolved around Julian, my husband since we were 20. He was my lifelong partner, the man who could make me burst out laughing even on the grayest days. And then there was our boy, Louis, 17, a whirlwind of energy, always wearing headphones with melodies spilling from his room. He drove me crazy sometimes, but just watching him exist made me love the world more. Our life was far from a fairy tale. We had a mortgage, we argued over silly things like bills or dishes left in the sink. But every Friday night, without fail, it was homemade pizza and family shows. That was our messy, precious happiness. Faith? I rarely thought about it. My prayers were childhood habits, recited without much belief. Then one morning, everything shifted. A string of tests, words spoken by a doctor that landed on my chest like stones. Advanced cancer, palliative treatment. It felt like someone had stolen my future. The months that followed were a blur of needles, IV drips, cold hallways, and the sting of antiseptic. My hair fell out, my skin turned waxy. I watched myself fade away in a bed that wasn't mine. Inside, I screamed. I cursed everything that existed, including God, if there was one. Why me? Why now? But no heaven answered back. The day my body gave out, I knew it, even before the machine started beeping. My usual pain suddenly fell silent, replaced by a strange stillness. Julian held my hand, his forehead resting against my cold fingers. I felt his tears hit my skin. Louis was curled up in a chair, his shoulders trembling like a little boy's. And I remember thinking about the most trivial thing, the cheap, pine-scented air freshener in the room. How I longed to open the window wide. Then I felt myself leave it all. No more pain, no more weight, just a sensation of being lifted upward, light as a cloud breaking free from the earth. When I looked down, I saw my body, so small, so fragile, surrounded by tubes and machines. Julian, my rock, was sobbing over me. Louis, pale, ran out of the room, and I wanted to tell them I was fine, that the suffering was gone, but no sound came out. I was simply awareness. Around me, the walls dissolved. The light shifted into colors I have no names for. No tunnel, no angelic fanfare, just an endless gentleness. A space where every fragrance I'd ever loved seemed to float in the air. And then I saw him. Not like the images you see in churches, nothing rigid or human in the ordinary sense. It was a presence, alive, pulsing, made of light and love. His eyes, or what felt like eyes, looked at me, and suddenly all of me was laid bare. My regrets, my anger, my shouted prayers. It was all there, and yet I felt no judgment, only a vast unconditional love that poured straight through me. I cried, not out of grief, but relief, like being freed from a weight carried for generations. He spoke without words. His voice was a feeling that resonated directly in my soul. Welcome home, Elise. Peace flooded me. I forgot the pain, forgot the earth. I could have stayed there forever. But one question still burned inside me. Why? Why this illness? And instead of an answer, he showed me. Before me, generations of my family unfolded like an open book. My mother, smiling but eaten away by a constant fear I had never seen before. My grandmother, stern and silent, but inside shattered by an old sorrow. Then my great-grandmother, kneeling in a kitchen from another century, cradling a lifeless baby and silently vowing in her heart, never to trust God again. That vow, born of pure agony, had opened a breach. An invisible legacy had passed from woman to woman, despair, mistrust, buried anger, and I carried its scars. In my body, it had taken shape as cancer. I was stunned. Then he showed me something else. Flashes of light each time I prayed despite my rage. Each time Julian placed his hand on mine and whispered a plea. Each time a neighbor sent a kind thought. Those little flames were breaking the old spiritual chain bit by bit. My suffering was not in vain. It was forging freedom. Then I saw Louis, years later, standing in a golden field, laughing, his own children around him. And behind him, a new bright lineage. The chain was gone. It ended with me. I had no words. Only one thought. It was for him. For them. The light around me seemed to smile. Always for them. Then I begged, "Let me stay here, please." But the answer was gentle and firm. "Not yet. You must go back and teach them how to live free. Tell them what you've seen." And then, a jolt. A brutal return into my body, like falling into icy water. Air flooded my lungs. Pain exploded through every nerve. Voices shouted around me. A nurse screamed. Julian sobbed, his eyes wide with disbelief. I had come back after 11 minutes of clinical death. The days that followed were a haze of tests and astonished looks. The cancer, little by little, retreated. The doctor spoke of improbable remission, a statistical miracle. But I knew. I knew something far deeper had been healed. Today, I'm telling you this. Because maybe you're fighting too. Maybe your stifled prayers and silent tears are not in vain. Maybe hidden in your pain is the freedom of an entire generation. I don't claim to understand it all, but I know this. Nothing we go through is wasted. Suffering can become sacred ground. So hold on, even in the darkness. Heaven is real. Love is stronger than death, and He hears you.